What if the blueprint to everything you've been chasing, financial freedom, deep connections, vibrant vitality, and a fulfilling existence, had absolutely nothing to do with grinding yourself to the bone, forcing a smile, or chanting phrases that taste like lies in your mouth? What if the genuine master key was simply an emotional state? Not a passing thought, not a vision board, not a strategic blueprint, but a raw, felt experience. And what if that specific emotional state, sustained at the perfect crossroads of time, possessed the power to completely reshape the reality around you? Welcome! Tonight, we are plunging into the core of a quiet literary masterpiece that alters everything it touches. It is incredibly brief, spanning scarcely 50 pages. It made its debut back in 1944, yet it delivers an insight so disruptive, so beautifully straightforward, that the moment it clicks for you, your perception of your own mind will shift permanently. The text is entitled "Feeling is the Secret" by the visionary Neville Goddard. By the conclusion of this presentation, you won't just grasp his philosophy, you will possess a precise, actionable roadmap to deploy it before your eyes close tonight. Stay tuned. This is a complete departure from the typical self-help rhetoric you've encountered. Before we take the plunge, let me outline exactly what this journey will deliver, because your time is valuable, and I intend for every second here to yield immense returns. To start, we will pull back the curtain on the man himself, not the mythologized guru, but the actual human being, discovering why his unique life trajectory makes these insights even more staggering. Following that, we will navigate through all 4 individual sections of this incredible manuscript: the Law and the Promise, Sleep, Prayer, and Thanksgiving. And we are truly breaking them down, not just skimming the surface. We will dismantle the core psychology, the unseen dynamics, and the practical execution strategies that the vast majority of seekers utterly overlook. Along the way, I will provide you with practical scenarios, relatable anecdotes, and direct exercises you can integrate immediately. This ensures the material evolves past mere intellectual concepts and transforms into a practical instrument. Finally, I will hand you a seamless nighttime routine requiring fewer than 5 minutes, a method championed by Neville himself that has fundamentally upgraded lives across the globe. Part 1. The figure behind the vision. So, who exactly was Neville Goddard? Born in 1905 among the shores of Barbados, Neville Lancelot Goddard entered the world as the 4th child in a bustling household of 9, raised under modest economic conditions. As an ambitious young adult, he migrated to the beating heart of New York City to carve out a destiny in the performing arts. He found work as an actor and a professional dancer. Blessed with a tall, commanding presence and a natural eloquence, he graced theatrical stages, toured in musical productions, and navigated the gritty reality of a working performer. Yet, an internal void persisted. As he approached his late 20s, an intense fascination with esoteric wisdom and spiritual metaphysics took hold. He entered a dedicated apprenticeship under an Ethiopian rabbi named Abdullah, a master of ancient Kabbalistic traditions. It was Abdullah who anchored him in the profound realization that human consciousness serves as the solitary fundamental reality, that our environment is nothing more than an externalized mirror of our internal state. Embracing this calling, Neville walked away from showbiz entirely. He transitioned to speaking engagements, filling intimate rooms, then massive auditoriums, eventually expanding to radio broadcasts and nationwide tours. He traveled the country sharing what he identified as the bedrock law of human existence, that the human imagination is the architect of physical reality. He authored a vast collection of literature and educational guides, steadfastly refusing to monetize his public lectures, firmly believing this wisdom was a birthright belonging to all humanity. He slipped away in 1972 while residing in Los Angeles, largely unrecognized by popular culture. Yet in the modern era, his literature has quietly ascended to become a foundational pillar within modern mindfulness, personal transformation, and spiritual architecture. Renowned authors have openly credited his influence, and his concepts pulse directly through contemporary manifestation trends, mindset psychology, and the fascinating intersection where cognitive neuroscience meets spiritual truth. However, Neville would urge you to discard the superficial labels. Forget the terms manifestation or mysticism. Recognize it for what it truly is, a universal principle, as consistent and indifferent as the force of gravity. And just like gravity, it remains active whether you acknowledge its existence or choose to ignore it. As the author famously noted, your subconscious domain never debates your perspective. It simply executes the decrees issued by your conscious focus. If you constantly declare your lack of resources, that becomes your reality. So discipline yourself to select a higher narrative. Part 2. The Core Mechanism and the Split Mind. Our text initiates its journey with an examination titled The Law, and right out of the gate, the author delivers an assertion that many skim over, completely missing the fact that they have just crossed paths with the primary engine of this system. He positions the conscious awareness as the sentry stationed at the threshold, while the subconscious represents the sanctuary within. This deeper mind acts as the universal medium through which all physical form is materialized. Let's dissect that concept deliberately, because its simplicity is highly deceptive. We are being shown that our psychological architecture operates on two distinct planes. Your conscious awareness, the dynamic focus you are using this very second to interpret my voice, is your waking, analytical, intentional mind. It is the part of you that schedules, stresses, dissects, and categorizes. Beneath that lies the subconscious layer, ancient, vast, and infinitely more potent. It possesses no capacity for debate, ignores standard logic, and holds no biases. It functions as a pure receiver and a tireless producer, materializing reality based entirely on whatever internal blueprint it is handed. To use a clear analogy, visualize the conscious mind as an architect drafting structural plans. The subconscious mind is the construction crew that executes those blueprints to the exact letter, devoid of hesitation, pushback, or delay. This brings us to the ultimate puzzle. How do you successfully plant a concept into this deeper domain? How do you bypass the sentry standing guard at the threshold? Neville's core answer serves as the ultimate anchor of this work, via authentic emotional resonance. Not through intellectualizing, not through desperate wishing, hoping, or relying on brute willpower, but through raw feeling. The deeper mind is entirely deaf to the language of intellectual words. It responds exclusively to the frequency of raw emotion and physical sensation. The sole currency recognized in this space is the visceral feeling of a reality already actualized. This precise distinction explains why standard positive thinking routinely falls short for so many. People attempt to think affluent thoughts, while simultaneously harboring a gut-wrenching sensation of scarcity. The subconscious mind, entirely literal and beautifully loyal to its nature, builds reality around the underlying emotion, completely ignoring the spoken words. Therefore, the directive is clear. Prioritize the stewardship of your emotions over the management of your thoughts. Your feelings serve as your true communication with creation, acting as the literal commands transmitted to the deep mind. And the deep mind always responds. To illustrate this, consider the tale of two separate approaches. Picture two professionals striving for the exact same executive promotion. The first individual obsesses over the title incessantly, mapping out the promotion visually and writing out morning declarations. I am a leader. I am promoted. Yet beneath every thought runs a quiet, steady current of insecurity, a lingering dread whispering, "What if I fail?" That underlying vibration of uncertainty and lack is precisely what the subconscious logs. That is the actual blueprint it utilizes. The second professional reflects on the promotion far less frequently. However, during a quiet evening, they rest their eyes, slow their breathing, and mentally inhabit their future office. They truly experience the moment, the profound pride, the immense relief, the silent sense of arrival. They allow that emotional reality to saturate their entire being for a few quiet minutes before drifting off into slumber in that exact state. Then they simply move forward. Neville would argue that the second individual is doing the genuine internal work. Meanwhile, the first professional, despite immense conscious exertion, is inadvertently anchoring the exact state of lack they are desperate to leave behind. This represents the absolute truth of the law. The internal domain invariably dictates the external landscape. The reality you navigate is always a mirror image of the emotional state that commands your awareness. It is never dictated by your current limitations, your past history, or your external resources, only by your internal state of feeling. Transform the feeling and watch the physical universe automatically realign to mirror the shift. Part 3. Slumber, the gateway to influence. We now arrive at what stands as the most actionable, intensely transformative, and widely ignored section of the entire manuscript. The author titles this simply Sleep. What he uncovers here will completely revolutionize the way you approach those final moments of your evening. He starts by highlighting a truth that contemporary sleep science and neuroscience now thoroughly validate: that the brief window directly preceding slumber, that drifting, twilight state between alertness and dreaming, is the absolute most fertile territory for programming the subconscious mind. In that exact transition phase, the analytical, doubting, conscious mind relaxes its guard. The sentry steps away from the threshold, leaving the deeper mind completely accessible, radically vulnerable, and intensely powerful. The specific emotional state you occupy as you slip into slumber is the exact frequency you bring with you into the dream world, and whatever is nurtured in the dark of night rises with you into the light of morning, actively shaping your encounters, your choices, your alignments, and your tangible outcomes. Let that reality sink in completely. The mood you harbor as you drift off is the mood that commands your subconscious throughout the night. It emerges with you at dawn, quietly structuring your day ahead. Yet, the vast majority of individuals drift off while absorbing distressing world news, ruminating over a confrontation at the office, agonizing over financial obligations, or wallowing in isolation. Then they wonder why their mornings feel heavy, why the identical patterns keep repeating, and why breakthroughs remain elusive. They are systematically planting seeds of distress in the most responsible soil imaginable, and the subconscious delivers that harvest with absolute precision. The framework offered here is elegantly simple. Before you drift into sleep, fully assume the emotional frequency of your desired outcome. Whatever it is you are seeking, a restored bond, financial liberation, physical renewal, or a brilliant creative spark, dedicate those final 5 minutes of consciousness to experiencing it as a current reality. Not yearning for it to happen tomorrow, not wishing it would manifest someday, but feeling it directly in your physical form, your chest, and your marrow as an accomplished fact. Allow sleep to carry that emotional imprint into the deep subconscious, where it will synthesize through the night, organizing the hidden patterns of reality to materialize it in the physical world. Consider this example of the nightly seed. Suppose you are attempting to mend a fractured dynamic with someone close to you. Rather than going to bed replaying the silence, the arguments, or the emotional wounds, close your eyes and anchor your awareness in a brief scene that could only take place if harmony were completely restored. Imagine sharing a genuine laugh over a meal, feeling a comforting embrace, or hearing them say, "I'm so glad we're past that." Do not strain to force the visuals. Keep the imagery soft and organic, focusing entirely on the emotional relief and the love. Sleep while cradling that specific emotion. Neville would tell you that you have just anchored a real cause in the unseen world. The manner in which it blossoms into your physical experience may completely startle you in its timing and elegance, but the mechanism itself will never falter. A standard pushback here is the thought, isn't this just a form of delusion? Am I not just deceiving myself? The author would gently reframe your perspective. He would counter that the physical world is the true illusion, because it merely displays the echoes of your past states of consciousness. The internal theater of feeling is where your destiny is actively being composed. When you inhabit the emotion of your wish fulfilled, you aren't hiding from reality. You are actively authoring it. Part 4. Advanced Alignment, Gratitude, and Righteous Awareness. The concluding segment of this profound book dives into two critical virtues that act as indispensable partners to this emotional methodology: thanksgiving and righteousness. Thanksgiving, in this specific philosophy, goes far beyond traditional gratitude for things already sitting in your physical possession. Within this framework, it represents expressing deep gratitude for outcomes that have not yet materialized in the physical landscape, but which you recognize as absolute certainties on an internal level. This is a profound demonstration of authentic faith. Not a blind, desperate hope, but faith functioning as a deep internal knowing. It is an absolute certainty that the internal state you have anchored must, by cosmic law, externalize into your physical world. True gratitude is a declaration of completion. It is tasting the joy of the harvest before the seeds have even broken through the soil. Similarly, the word righteousness, which arrives burdened with intense moral and religious history, is stripped down by Neville to its absolute psychological bedrock. Within his teachings, righteousness translates to being in the correct state of consciousness, feeling entirely aligned with your ultimate desire. It isn't about moral superiority, it's about vibrational alignment. It means embodying the precise internal identity that naturally corresponds with the life you wish to lead. Take the example of a visionary artist. Long before they sign a major distribution deal, they inhabit a space of deep thanksgiving. They don't do this out of anxiety or desperation. They carry the warm, quiet assurance of someone who knows the outcome is already written. They don't walk around performing or pretending in public, but within the sacred privacy of their own mind, right before they drift off to sleep, they feel the absolute reality of their success. They carry that gratitude as a quiet, steady companion through their daily routine, not overthinking it, not trying to force it, just knowing. This isn't a delusion. It is a masterfully precise methodology for printing an emotional blueprint onto the subconscious mind, which naturally pulls the corresponding experience into physical form. Let me bind these concepts together with a classic historical account, and then I will equip you with a precise, step-by-step practical routine you can initiate this very evening. Neville frequently shared an experience from his own youth when he found himself completely broke in New York City during a brutal winter, desperately longing to return home to Barbados to see his loved ones. He possessed zero capital, had no professional prospects, and saw no logical path to securing passage. His mentor, Abdullah, bluntly informed him, "You are already standing in Barbados." He instructed Neville to stop imagining looking out towards the island from a distant ship and to instead completely inhabit the physical warmth of Barbados, to feel the texture of the sand beneath his feet, and to let his entire psychological geography shift from "I am stuck here trying to get there" to "I am already there." In a remarkably short window of time, through a sequence of highly unpredictable events that defied all standard logic, a free ticket materialized, the doors swung wide open, and Neville made his journey home. Now, I am not asking you to blindly accept that story as historical validation. I am presenting it strictly to illustrate the mechanics of the practice, because the execution is all that matters. Part 5. Your Nightly 5-Minute Protocol. Here is your concise nightly protocol, extracted directly from the heart of these teachings. Phase 1. Isolate the anchor. 30 seconds. Define a single, clear objective. Identify one brief, highly specific scenario that could only occur if your objective was completely reached. A specific congratulatory handshake, a toast with friends, or a moment of total peace. Keep it brief, real, and uncomplicated. Phase 2. Transition into stillness. 1 minute. Rest flat on your back. Allow your eyes to gently close and take 5 long, deliberate breaths. Let the physical tension melt away and let the events of the day dissolve entirely. You are intentionally stepping into the twilight borderland of sleep. Phase 3. Inhabit the scene. 2 minutes. Softly introduce your chosen scene into your mind. Do not view it as a distant projection on a screen. Step inside it and live it directly. Look through your own eyes within the scene. Sense the physical textures and hear the surrounding sounds. Allow the emotional response to surface naturally. Phase 4. Preserve the vibration. 90 seconds. Let the specific visual imagery fade away if it begins to drift. Direct your entire focus toward preserving the underlying emotion, that deep, comforting, quietly triumphant feeling of having arrived, of knowing it is settled, of being completely home. Phase 5. Release into slumber. Discontinue all effort. Do not grab at the feeling or try to force it to stay. Let it go seamlessly, much like a parent tucking in a child with absolute trust. Approach this every night devoid of pressure, desperation, or anxiety. View it as a confident, natural act. Think of it the way an experienced gardener drops a seed into the earth, never pacing the yard, never digging up the soil every hour to verify its progress, but maintaining a quiet certainty that the earth will fulfill its natural process. That is the core method. That is the ultimate secret. Conclusion: the mirror of reality. Let's bring this entire journey home. Neville Goddard presented Feeling is the Secret to the world in 1944. In under 50 pages, he provided a master operating blueprint for the human psyche and, more importantly, for the boundless creative power dormant within every individual. His foundational truth remains unshakable. Your emotional states are the native language of the subconscious mind. Your deeper mind remains completely indifferent to your spoken words. It responds exclusively to your feelings. It does not manifest your temporary wishes. It materializes your dominant emotional baseline. And whatever frequency you consistently inhabit, whether it represents your grandest dreams or your deepest anxieties, is precisely what the subconscious will project back into your physical reality with perfect loyalty and total neutrality. This carries a massive realization. Your current life circumstances in this exact moment are a mirror reflecting your most frequent internal states. It also brings a message of immense liberation. By consciously upgrading those internal states, by mastering the art of assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled, particularly within the fertile gateway of sleep, you hold the keys to restructuring your outer world, not through superficial magic, but through an inevitable psychological law that frequently shatters the boundaries of what you thought possible. As the author beautifully noted, you are already the person you desire to be, and your lingering refusal to step into that truth is the single barrier keeping it from view. Tonight, before your eyes close, run through this protocol just once. Approach it gently, free of expectations or pressure. Simply deposit the seed into the deep mind. Wrap yourself in the feeling of the harvest already gathered, and watch what reality brings to light in the morning. If this presentation has sparked a new insight, ignited a fresh hope, or handed you a valuable new tool, please take a quick moment to like this video, subscribe to our community, and share this message with someone who needs this perspective today. Your active engagement is what empowers Wise Leaf audiobooks to continue unearthing these monumental texts, profound ideas, and life-altering teachings that the modern world so rarely encounters. The next time we gather, we will venture deep into another monumental masterpiece that will quietly reshape your entire understanding of existence. Until then, dwell in wellness, recognize your inherent worth, and know deep in your soul that it is already done. Thank you for being here.